This amendment aims to make Bill 1 more robust by looking for more opportunities to export energy in new ways, as the amendment I just stated. Although Section 2.1 already states that the economic growth and energy diversification programs may be established under this Act without limitation, the government saw fit to explicitly list a number of areas of focus, and I believe that we can do better for Albertans by including diversification of export markets in energy diversification. One of the weaknesses that has been brought to the fore recently is our dependence on pipelines to export our energy products. And we really want this bill to help Albertans develop and export energy products in ways other than fluids through pipelines or electricity through power lines. We want to help uncap Alberta's full energy potential. On behalf of the Alberta Party Caucus, I rise today to join the government in apologizing for all those affected by the actions of those in power. The 60 scoop was a tragedy on every level. It was a personal tragedy for those that were taken from loving homes. It was a cultural tragedy where a generation of Indigenous peoples were forcibly separated from their traditions, their identities, and families. And it was a societal tragedy that we allowed and perpetuated such a terrible and callous act against our Indigenous brothers and sisters. It's my hope that this apology is a step towards true reconciliation. Well, Mr. Speaker, what kind of session would it be without me getting a little verklempt or misty-eyed? I want to talk about my oldest son, Carson, who's incredibly brave. He's one of the strongest people that I know. It's people like him why we raised the pride flag. It's because of the other brave people who paved the way for him to come out to the world. Because of those other brave people, they changed me. They inspired people like me to show us that God created us in His image, and He doesn't make mistakes. We still rank at the bottom of the list in Canada when it comes to animal protection. Yeah. There's room for improvement in the regulation and substantive changes in animal protection groups that are asking for and require the Animal Protection Act to be open and amended. That's what other jurisdictions have been doing, and the lack of action has landed Alberta, like I said, at the bottom of Animal Protection Act in Canada. To the same minister, how do you explain your government's failure to address this important issue during your time in office?
Great question.
The Alberta Party Caucus believes in school choice and reasonable accommodations for the individual beliefs of teachers and students. However, we also see the need for standards that ensure that all students have the access and the support they need, such as this government's approach to GSAs. The Minister of Education may want to share that approach with the Minister of Advanced Education, however, because post-secondary students are asking for something similar. To the Minister of Advanced Education, students have been asking that post-secondary institutions be required to have a standalone sexual assault policies. Why haven't you made this change?
I pressed the minister today in question period about sexual misconduct and sexual abuse in post-secondary institutions. The minister said they're trying to meet certain standards and there's 2 schools outlying. At the end of the day, we're going to continue to push this issue because it's important that we support vulnerable people and people that have faced this misconduct and this abuse. As an advanced care paramedic, I know how terrific our healthcare system is, especially when you need it in a critical time. But what we see are costs getting out of control and performance dropping. We need to make sure that we address that to make sure there's sustainability in our system, because sooner or later we're not going to be able to afford it and the system is going to fail. That's not good for Albertans, it's not good for you. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the future.
Mental health supports are vital in any workplace, but they are especially important for high-stress frontline public health care jobs like EMS. Albertans need to be able to trust that the paramedic showing up at the door in a medical emergency is ready to give it 100%. As legislators, we are responsible for public health care, so we need to do everything we can to ensure that frontline healthcare workers have the supports that they need. To the Minister of Health, what has your government done to improve access and awareness of mental health supports for frontline healthcare workers? When a young person is dealing with a mental illness, family can be one of the most important lifelines. However, families aren't always equipped to deal with the additional strain of caring for someone with mental illness. In order for them to be effective and to support their loved ones, families need our support. They need to know what the resources are and where they're available and how to access those resources. To the Minister of Health, Minister, I've heard from constituents that are caring for a child with mental illness and they don't know where to turn. What is your government doing to connect families with the help that they need? I asked yesterday how close we were to full implementation of the Valuing Mental Health recommendations. I asked that question because people in Alberta are suffering. Whoever is responsible, it's clear that we don't have the necessary supports for people suffering from mental health. To the same minister, how many of the recommendations have been implemented and what still needs to be done? 2 years ago, the Senate of Canada and the House of Commons passed the Bill S-201, the Genetic Non-Discrimination Act, which protects folks who want to get genetic testing done in order to be aware of their health risks and prepare accordingly. Individuals who have genetic markers for specific diseases can be charged higher premiums for insurance or denied insurance coverage altogether. To the Minister of Health, is your government aware that some Albertans are being discriminated against simply based on genetic characteristics?